Hello and welcome to the TV Enthusiast coverage of Hannibal. This is Dinner with Hannibal. Season 3, Episode 5 is what we're going to be discussing here. We normally would have done this on Monday. My bad. Completely slipped my mind when we were supposed to be doing it. So we're doing this now on Tuesday. It'll be up online. Well, it's Tuesday for Will right now already, but by the time this goes up online, this will be Wednesday. On to the discussion. That takes us one day away from the next episode of Hannibal. We'll start this off as we always do, Dinner with Hannibal style. What did you have for dinner, Will?
I had mac and cheese with beef, ground beef.
Ooh, what kind of beef? Was it Will Graham beef?
It was something.
A questionable meat.
Yes.
I just had a soup, bean with bacon, long pig bacon, of course.
Kevin Bacon.
So, before we get on to actually discussing the episode, let's talk a little bit about Hannibal Gate here, about what's going on with the show and
it's dead, Jim.
What?
It's dead, Jim.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I still subscribe to the never say never philosophy because the era we live in now, shows can be canceled and off the air for years and come back, you know?
Oh yeah. They can, I mean...
But the chances aren't looking as good.
Eventually return. Someday.
Yeah.
Like Twin Peaks or the X-Files. But it's not returning anytime in the immediate future.
It's not looking good. So
Brian
Netflix
Fuller
is already out of the picture.
Yeah, Brian
Fuller said that Amazon's out of the picture.
Yeah, Amazon passed on it. Netflix passed on it. They let go of the cast. Brian Fuller is fully committed to American Gods on Stars now.
That was something that was going to happen anyways, though. That was in development before.
But here's what I've heard. I've heard since NBC announced the cancellation, like Brian Fuller was going to split his time half and half on Hannibal and American Gods. But since NBC announced the cancellation, Brian Fuller has put all his energy into American Gods. He has the full commitment there. And apparently the deal is why Amazon passed is because they were going to have to wait a year for Brian Fuller to finish up American Gods and then jump back into Hannibal.
And we know Netflix passed because of Amazon.
Yeah. Amazon was not willing to wait a year, and that's what happened.
So how we can phrase this is Amazon and NBC got together and murdered Hannibal.
Yeah.
Well, we say that in jest. NBC gave Hannibal 3 seasons with poor ratings. You can't really fault them for what they did there. There's plenty you can fault NBC for. Giving Hannibal 3 seasons is not one of those things. Few networks would have given a shot to something like that, you know, and especially had it go for 3 seasons. Even like Fox, Fox in their best, in their heyday, when they used to do a whole bunch of high concept stuff, even then, they would cancel after 1 or 2 seasons.
Oh, they wouldn't even give Firefly 2 seasons.
This is already the longest running Brian Fuller series.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it is. Pushing Daisies was 1 season.
No, Pushing Daisies was 2.
Oh, was it?
Wonderfall was 1, I believe.
Wonderfalls was 1. Dead Like Me was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hannibal, longest running Brian Fuller show on television.
Yeah. So deeply sad. This just does not seem, like I said, I'm still not saying never. Uh, this is just the era we're in right now is just too crazy to ever say never.
Ryan Fuller just isn't mass market. He just doesn't make shows that appeal to anything but a niche audience.
I still think there's this aspect of people that just have either never heard of it or never gave it a serious thought that probably would love it. I think that the niche audience would support Hannibal if enough of the niche audience was exposed to it. And I think that enough of the niche audience just don't know about it. And it's funny how I'll constantly recommend this show to people. And the story I have right now about that is on 4th of July, I was hanging out with some family friends of mine. And one of them I had told about Hannibal like the last time I had talked to him. And so when I saw him there, he had now seen the first 2 seasons and loved it, absolutely adored it, was talking about how just amazing it was, everything, Again, he was somebody who'd never heard of the show until I brought it up to him after season 2 had already finished sometime last year. And, talking to other people at the party, I think his mom had seen it, I think. And his brother had not seen it or heard of it. Nobody else there had heard of it except for like me and, him and his mom, basically. Right. So I had not even heard of it. So it's just one of those situations where I think that it appeals very strongly to the niche audience, enough so that it should have way more viewers than it does just from the niche without even going into the mainstream. But it just hasn't gotten exposed to it. And I blame Amazon for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do. I mean, I sound like I'm joking and stuff, but Amazon robbed them of the Netflix Discovery bump.
I also see there's a lot of people out there who seem like they're inclined to watch it, who seem like that by all rights they should be avidly watching the show, loving it. It's right up that genre alley. But there are people in that niche who are skeptical of this show, who are wary of it, and
either because they loved the movies or the books, and they think this is going to be an inferior product.
Yeah. Just
without any evidence that it's going to be inferior, they just assume it is, because that's like the old TV stigma,
Right. That's usually how it is. They usually take a product and they make it worse. And I totally like when the show was announced and I was not interested at all either. I was like, yay, a Hannibal Lecter show. This is probably gonna be stupid. I wasn't interested. I like the movies well enough. I wasn't, but then people started saying, "Oh, this is great." I started reading impressions like people saying, "This is great. This is fantastic," and I'm like, "Really? Well, I guess I have to check it out." So I watched the first episode, and then it got on from there. I'm like, "This is really fantastic stuff."
Yeah, that's the thing about the show, is that you got to give it that fair shake, and I think a lot of people, unfortunately, just won't. And I think that this would have gotten the fair shake if it had gotten that, as they call it, the Netflix bump. And Amazon kind of robbed them of that. I was actually listening to the Channel Surfing podcast the other day, and they were kind of going over stuff that we had talked about on our last podcast and in the last couple Dinner with Hannibals we've done, where they had mentioned that same thing about how if this had been on Netflix instead of Amazon, it would have gotten a bump.
I don't know
from discoverability
to do that deal with Amazon. It was like, that was just stupid.
Well, at the time, Amazon was it was new to that idea, and I guess Amazon just assumed that they were going to be like a Netflix.
Yeah.
But nobody goes there for that reason, I guess they were hoping to change that, and they did that with a few shows. They did that with The Americans as well. That was mentioned on Channel Surfing. That's another good show that got no bump because of it having a digital release and just continues to decline season by season, just as Hannibal has, just because of, shows have natural fall off, but the modern model has this like weird thing where even though some shows have this natural fall off, some shows actually grow season by season despite having more serialized stories, just because they have this bump, because you can go to Netflix and catch up on the whole series and then you jump in on the next season.
Right.
Exactly. And I guess they were hoping to kind of can do that on Amazon, and it just did not work out. I think I'm going to write an article I've been meaning to for a while about kind of what's wrong with Amazon's streaming video service, and kind of I'm calling it like a plea to Amazon, because there's some things that if they made a few changes and fixes here and there, they could be seen in the same way Netflix is.
Fix your shit, Amazon.
There's some very specific things they need to fix. And if they do, they'll be in a much better place than they are now. And it's just right now, it's kind of a mess. I don't know. How often do you actually watch stuff on Amazon?
Never.
Because you have Prime, right?
I do. I have Prime Instinct. And I can say I don't use it at all.
Unless there's something specific you want, like when we watch the pilot season shows,
Yeah.
I'll of course watch that. I'll of course watch The Man in the High Castle when that starts up and stuff.
Right.
But I have to know I'm going there for it. I never browse.
I never browse Amazon for looking for like stuff. Well, I always go like on Netflix when I'm bored and I want to watch something. That's my go-to, and it's like I never think, what's on Amazon today? It just never crosses my mind. It's like Amazon I go to when I want to buy something. I even get emails about it because like Amazon sends me these emails that says, you're not using your Prime benefits. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't use it. I don't have Prime for that reason.
Yeah.
Also, like 90% of the stuff on there I can get on Netflix anyway, so it's like there's not a huge incentive for me to go to Amazon first to look for something. And
they don't have the kind of strong exclusive support that Netflix does right now, where they can go, well, like Netflix used to be a source I would go to watch like movies or old TV shows I want to catch up on. Now, more than anything, I go to Netflix for their originals.
Netflix is pushing out a ton of original content in like a very short span of time. I think this is another area where Netflix is beating Amazon. I think Amazon's pilot program is actually holding them back, because we got The Man in the High Castle, and that's great, that's fantastic, but it's going to be next year when we get more, because of this stupid pilot program process. And it's like Netflix is like running circles around you. You're Amazon. You, with your original content, you are a turtle. Netflix is the Flash. You need to do something.
I think the pilot program was actually beneficial to them at first. Right. But now that they've had a few hits, now that they've had like Transparent and Mozart in the Jungle, and people talk positively about those shows, and they have, Man in the High Castle coming up and people are already talking positively about that, it's no longer, that gimmick is no longer necessary. Now it's a hindrance.
Right.
I think before it was actually beneficial to them, and now it's a hindrance. Right. Now it's something they need to have grown past, and they just haven't.
Yeah.
I think their biggest problem, though, is their interface. It just doesn't feel good to go through their interface. The way, like, stuff, you can't just look up Hannibal and go, oh, there's all the episodes of Hannibal. No, it's like divided by seasons as separate categories.
Oh, geez.
It's stupid, It's like I've looked up something and I've gone like, oh, yeah, like here's this show or something, and here's season 5, and I keep scrolling around looking for season 1, because you can't just click on the actual show and get the results you want.
Like with Netflix, you can click on, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then they'll probably display season 2 as a default. You can
but it's right there that you can select season 1.
You can select season 1 just with one click. You don't have to go through all this.
Yeah, this is like, it's almost as if, like on Netflix, if you have, they don't organize movie trilogies or something in that way. where they're all in one thing. They'll just have like, 3 separate things. That's like how they do seasons on Amazon.
Oh, geez.
And it's
They'll be
not
like
good. That's
listings.
horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I agree.
And just there's other issues with the interface. It feels like they're trying to make it like this like integrated part of their regular shopping thing, and it shouldn't be. It should be like its own thing,
Right.
kind of separate and has its own look and its own presentation based on the needs of the platform.
Amazon, I find more often than not, they get these initiatives, but they don't do them as well as their competitors. They're
Like the Fire Phone.
Yes, the Fire Phone. I thought Amazon was really going to kill the market because I thought they were going to do something smart. And in a time when all phones were like $600 or something, I thought they were going to release a competent, decently spec phone for a cheap mass market price.
Mm-hmm.
They just put out another $600 phone with their stupid OS and put AT&T exclusive, and like anybody's going to care.
Not to mention they used Android, but then they gimped it with their own overlay.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, because they wanted to make it their own thing, they lost Google Play services, which is like the main reason anybody uses Android.
So it's a $600 AT&T exclusive phone with a GIMP version of Android that has no Google Play services, and also the specs for a phone, for a $600 phone, were not up to par. They were mid-tier specs.
Yep.
It's like, what the hell, Amazon?
Yeah, it's just not smart. And then one of the issues I've been having with them a lot has been with, I'm a big Chromecast user. I love Chromecast. That's how I get most of my media up there. The video quality is amazing on Chromecast. It works really well. It allows me to use my phone's interface for all of my apps, which is the best interface in my opinion, better than the web interface, better than the app interface on any kind of TV thing, It just works the best for me, and I love it. And it's like the only service that doesn't have Chromecast support right now.
Oh,
It's Amazon Prime, They don't have it. You can't even get the Amazon Instant Video app on the Play Store. You have to download Amazon's Play Store, then get the video thing from that. It's such a fucking mess. And somebody made an actual app for Android that was on the Play Store that basically just took it kind of used it like a backend. You know how they make Twitter clients where you use Twitter but you're not using the Twitter app?
Right.
It was that for Amazon, and Amazon closed it down in 12 hours.
Oh geez. They
stopped it in 12 hours from happening, and it's this is an app that actually had a good visual interface. It had casting. Amazon should have fucking bought them.
Yes.
Amazon should have found that developer, paid for that code, and just bought it outright and made that their service.
They just shut them down and kept everything shitty.
Yeah. And it's because they have their little Fire TV stick. Well, you know what, Amazon? You're selling your service, not your hardware. When you're putting your hardware ahead of your service is going to suffer.
Nobody wants that Fire TV stick.
Yeah. It's or maybe some people do, but you know what? I bet people on other devices want to use Amazon too, and it's weird because they offer it on Apple TV, but they don't offer it on Android or for Chromecast, and before they didn't offer it on Android, except that it was available on their Android devices that didn't have Google Play services. So it's just such a mess. It's just their priorities are all wrong. Their way they're handling it is all wrong, and yeah, it's a problem. But we're off topic now. We were talking about.
We're way off topic. We're talking about how Hannibal is not coming. Hannibal's dead.
I am writing an article about all this. So if this is interesting to you, look in the future and. In the next couple weeks or something, there'll be an article up about all this Amazon stuff.
So stick a fork in Hannibal.
Let's talk about the episode.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about something exciting. This episode was very exciting, actually.
Oh, definitely.
We got the cool bit. One of the cool bits was like Will, Graham, and Chio on the train, right? And Chio was talking to Will Graham about Hannibal Lecter. She asked him, "Are you afraid you're going to become Hannibal Lecter?" And he said yes, which was like a big admission from Will. And then Chio kicked him off or pushed him off the train.
He said, there are other forms of persuasion than violence, but violence is all you understand.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, okay.
That is the one scene this entire season that I didn't like the way it was, like the kind of artistic slow motion kind of stuff of it. I thought ended up looking kind of tacky on that scene when he's like flying backwards and flipping over.
Yeah, it did kind of look like cheap. Yeah, it did. Like the budget wasn't up to snuff with what they were trying to do there.
I imagine they probably had better plans for what they were going to do, and something didn't shoot right, and so then they just filmed this like they had the actor, so they just filmed like in a black, and just said, "Oh, we'll just stick in this shot of him flipping backwards and use that like, in place."
Oh well, it's good enough.
Yeah, that's it's probably like the one shot in this entire season. And how many shows can you say that about? Where one shot that, like, I think in most shows that shot probably would have been like a beautiful, awesome shot.
Yeah.
But on Hannibal, it's like, oh, that came off tacky and stuff, and it's the only shot in the entire season, that like has anything like that. It just stands for how amazing Hannibal looks.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, almost every shot, with the exception of this shot. Every other shot in the series is like gorgeous, I mean, the whole thing is, even if you mute the sound, you could still enjoy Hannibal for the sheer eye candy it constantly throws at you.
It's like a rich, thick oil painting that's moving.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's amazing.
Yeah. So the big kind of event in this episode was Jack versus Hannibal Part 2.
Part 2. Jack really killed it. I thought, I was most surprised at how one-sided that was. It was just Jack completely dominating Hannibal the whole time. Hannibal didn't even get a lick in.
With the music in the background, just adding to it.
Hannibal not even got one lick in that fight, which is unusual.
All he was able to do was kind of push him back a few times, and that was it.
That was it. And that was unusual considering how good of a fighter Hannibal's been shown to be on the show and how capable we know he is. But that just says something about Jack because he surprised him, he got the upper hand, and he dominated him. And Jack totally could have finished Hannibal off there if he wanted to. But I think at the end, Hannibal escapes at the end, as we know.
Yeah.
I think that's because Jack held back from giving it any sort of finality.
I think that's all Jack needed. I think he needed that win. He needed that. He doesn't need to take down Hannibal. He doesn't need to kill Hannibal. He doesn't need that. He just needed he just needed to trash Hannibal.
Right.
He just needed to kick Hannibal's ass in a one-sided dominating fashion, and he did.
And he did it.
And it's God. He got something out of it. You could see it in his face.
He was so happy to be doing that. The best part was when Hannibal was on the ground and he was crawling, reaching for his knife and trying to get the upper hand, and Jack had that hook. And Jack stabbed Hannibal in the leg with the hook and dragged him away from his knife.
Yeah, it was awesome. There's so many great things. There's one where he pushed Hannibal through glass while he was facing the other direction.
Yeah.
That was great too. Yeah, I loved him rolling up his sleeves to when he was start getting serious.
Yep, yep. When he started getting serious, Hannibal, Jack kicked Hannibal out the window. It's a good thing Hannibal killed that guy and hung him right before that happened, because that seemed to have been Hannibal's only means of escape.
It was all an excuse so they could use a bowel cam.
Yeah, exactly.
Camera, like stuffed inside the guy's open bowel wound.
Oh yeah. Brian Fuller was like, "We have the bowel cam. We should try to use it at some point."
So yeah, this is just a great episode through and through. We talked about Chio and Will. We talked about Jack and Hannibal. Besides that, we had Rinaldi and Hannibal, and Rinaldi talking to Verger and Alana.
We found, Rinaldi's downfall was his greed. Instead of doing things within the law, doing the investigation, he got greedy. Mason Verger is desperate to have Hannibal in his hot little hands, because Mason Verger wants revenge on Hannibal. So does Alana. And Alana is working with Major Mason to help him achieve this. And so Mason, to that end, has put out a big bounty on Hannibal's head. Whoever delivers Hannibal to him alive gets the bounty. And Hannibal was aware of this bounty. In fact, Hannibal was counting on Rinaldi to be lured in by that bounty. Hannibal was actually counting on that, as he mentions to Bedelia.
Yeah.
Sure enough, Rinaldi is overcome by his greed, where he gives in to Mason Verger's offer and sends him to get one of Hannibal's fingerprints, which is super risky. That's not an easy thing to ask somebody to go do. And it does not end well.
Yeah. Bowels out.
Bowels out. Yeah. Because when Rinaldi confronts Hannibal, Hannibal already knows what's going on while he's there, and Hannibal's already prepared to kill him at that point.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting because Hannibal had shown him some artwork, and basically talking about how one of Rinaldi's ancestors from his famous family had been hung out, and how some of them were bowels in and some were bowels out in the depictions of how he was killed. And he did that basically to say, "This is what I'm going to do to you."
Yeah, pretty much. It was spelling out, this is how you are going to die, in no uncertain terms.
We got a great scene where Alana had called up Rinaldi to talk to him, and Hannibal picked up the phone.
Yeah.
It was like, "Hello, Alana. It was great talking to you. It's great to hear your voice."
It's great to hear your voice again, Alana. It's like, yep. And then after that, she had no Rinaldi was dead and was not going to be delivering Hannibal to them anytime soon. So they're going to have to find another patsy to do it.
We also had this episode, we got to kind of see a little bit, we had some little kind of family moment things with Rinaldi and Jack and Rinaldi's wife.
Yeah.
To kind of establish their...
I saw Jack bonding with Rinaldi some more. It's funny because they showed the scene where Jack was with Rinaldi's wife after he had left, and she expressed concern that he didn't come back. I think that's when Jack kind of figured it out and kind of followed to where he went. and that's how the confrontation with Hannibal happened.
Yeah. We also got to see Jack. We're kind of going backwards in a weird order. We covered kind of the main later events, but we got to see
kind of like going in the order of what comes to mind first.
we got to see Jack say "Ciao, Bella."
Oh yeah, ciao, Bella.
As he poured her ashes into the water. Another beautiful scene.
That was beautiful.
Artistically shot. Threw his ring into the water.
We got the closure. Jack got the closure there that we needed, that he needed, and we saw that.
This episode was all about Jack, I think.
I think so. It was more about Jack than anybody else.
It was about him kind of getting his closure and getting his, he got his kind of payback on Hannibal for last season.
Yes.
He got to, say goodbye to his wife. Oddly enough, chasing Hannibal took him to a place that he loved to be with his wife. And it kind of gave him that moment where he could spread her ashes and, say goodbye and do all of that. So, yeah, it was a really good Jack episode. This season has been knocking it out of the park again. This might even be better than season 2 so far.
I think so. This is pretty amazing stuff. We get much Will Graham moments. I'm looking forward to when Will Graham finally confronts Hannibal this season. That's going to be amazing and interesting when that happens.
Yeah. And there's probably not too many episodes left of this storyline.
There really isn't. There's, I think the Red Dragon arc starts in episode 8. So we got what? I forget what episode this was. Well, we got maybe 2 or 3.
5, so I think we got 2 left.
Yeah.
2 left in this storyline. So it's that's going to be a very interesting transition to see how that happens.
That really is.
Because they haven't done something like that on this show yet. I've actually heard the episode titles change.
Oh, really?
Right now they're all Italian foods, and in the later half it's something completely different. It's not even foods. It's supposed to be like pieces of artwork or something, or the names of
because of Red Dragon.
Yeah. Dollarhide and
his obsession with this painting.
So with Hannibal, it's all about food, and with Dollarhide, it's going to be all these paintings.
Yes, it's going to be artistic references. That's going to be interesting. I want to see the Hannibal version of Dollarhide too. I bet they make him just as fascinating and creepy as Hannibal. And I'm excited for that. So there's lots to look forward to. Even though the show is over, there's still plenty of Hannibal goodness to look forward to.
Still got at least half of a season left.
So take heart, gentle viewer.
Yeah. And, when you want to unleash your hatred and anger, remember it's all Amazon's fault.
Yeah. Desubscribe from Prime.
We won't, but you can.
Cancel your Prime subscription. Stand in solidarity with Hannibal.
We won't do it, but you can.
But you can. Yeah.
I like that free shipping too much.
I know, right? Free shipping.
So yeah, that pretty much brings us to an end. So keep enjoying the last season of Hannibal as it seems to be right now. It should be a wild ride. Hopefully I can get some, maybe score some interview hookups at Comic-Con this year.
That would be amazing.
I'd love to do that, so that would be great if I could. If not, who knows? Just look forward to our coverage. Next episode should be good. It's kind of the penultimate of the Hannibal storyline.
I know American Gods is going to be amazing.
Of course, yeah.
I wonder how Brian Fuller's his main theme of death into that show.
Well, there's death in American Gods.
So that's good, because that's like talk about, if you look at all Brian Fuller's work, that's the central theme of his work, is death.
Yeah. Yeah, even his cheerful stuff has this
Even
kind of
his cheerful, like Dead Like Me, that was like a quirky sort of like
Pushing Daisies, which is like super cheerful and colorful.
It's colorful and it's like happy and it's like.
But it's about necromancy.
It's like about necromancy. And Dead Like Me, that was like a comedy about Grim Reapers and death. It was a comedy about death. You know? I mean, so yeah, Brian Fuller. The man's a genius.
And I can't wait to see his take on Fuller House.
Yeah, right.
That show actually does have kind of a grim setup. It's weird.
Oh, really?
Did you read about the setup for that?
Oh, yeah, I read about that. Like, DJ's like husband is dead or something. But
yeah,
it's the same setup as like the original, because you know Danny Tanner's wife was dead before the first episode aired.
Yeah.
So,
but it's the right setup for Brian Fuller to come in on. Making this like deep psychological study of DJ Tanner.
We could have like bizarre dreams about her husband's death. Make it a mystery. Make it like she doesn't know like the real cause of his death. Maybe he's not dead.
She hallucinates and sees stags.
Yeah, she sees stags.
So yeah, in case you don't know, we are joking about this, just for the record, in case some crazy person's watching. Brian Fuller has nothing to do with Fuller House. It's just kind of our joke of making it more interesting.
Confirmed from Comic-Con.
But yeah, that brings us to an end of this episode. Check out our coverage of Hannibal and all the shows you love on TVEnthusiast.com. We have a podcast we do almost every week. We don't have one coming this week because I'm going to be prepping for Comic-Con, but we should have some kind of a video thing with Kat, Will, and I all talking about something. We'll just figure out what we're going to talk about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.
Bye.